The war in Jacksonville is one of the most public beefs currently going on in rap. It gained attention from mainstream audiences after the two main rappers involved in the beef, Fulio and Yungeen Ace, dropped back-to-back diss tracks talking about each other's dead homies. The beef has taken a wild turn after Yungeen Ace's brother, Atk Ybeezy, was involved in a police chase and arrested for possessing weapons of mass destruction. Let's take a look at this wild situation and break down what happened. The war in Jacksonville between Fulio's KTA gang and Ace's ATK gang has been well documented by the hip-hop media. It started over minor disagreements in the streets, but turned into an all-out war after Fulio's cousin Zion Brown was murdered. In retaliation, OPPS shot up Ace's car outside of a shopping plaza, leaving his brother and two friends dead. Ever since then, the two gangs have been going back and forth, dropping bodies and diss tracks while going viral at the same time. Check out our other videos on the war in Jacksonville for a closer look at this beef. Surprisingly, there hasn't been much violence on either side since Fulio and Ace dropped their catchy yet demonic diss tracks against each other. But that doesn't mean that the beef is over. Earlier this month, police caught Ace's brother and right-hand man, Atk Ybeezy, with some serious heat in North Carolina after a wild police chase and manhunt. You may be thinking, if the beef was in Jacksonville, then what was Ybeezy doing in North Carolina? Although a motive for the crime has not been established, fans have been quick to point out that Fulio just had a show on July 4th in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Atk Ybeezy is a rapper from Jacksonville who's associated with Yungeen Ace's crew, ATK. They've been featured together on numerous songs and are always together on social media. Some say that they're brothers, but this is unconfirmed. Yungeen Ace recently dropped his debut studio album, Life of Betrayal 2X, which featured guest appearances from G Herbo, King Von, and YFN Lucci. The album also featured the controversial song, Who I Smoke, which already has over 28 million views on YouTube alone. So the ATK crew has been living it up and enjoying their time in the spotlight. But while Ace has been celebrating his debut release, his brother will be getting into some trouble in North Carolina. On July 3rd, a journalist from WRAL News in North Carolina named Keenan Willard posted on Twitter that two suspects in the Chatham County manhunt had stolen his car and crashed it head-on into a state trooper.
Yeah, he just jumped in the freaking car. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to pop up this live feed for you guys.
Later on, he did a follow-up interview where he explained what happened. He said that he and his photographer were in the area covering a story about a manhunt for 4 suspects who had fled from police. These suspects were believed to be armed and dangerous. Earlier that day, Chatham County Police attempted to pull over a car on Highway 64 for going 94 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone. The vehicle refused to stop and led police on a high-speed chase. Eventually, the car spun out into the median and 4 armed men got out and ran away. 2 of the men were arrested, but the other 2 escaped.
We saw a man walk around the front of my unit. Both my unit and my photojournalist unit were still running to light up the area because, again, we were in the area where a manhunt was going on for 2 suspects who were considered armed and dangerous. The man walked up to us. I saw he had something in his hand, and in that moment, knowing that that was the suspect, that could have been the suspect who was considered armed and dangerous, you had to wonder what was going to happen next, and we were really afraid. The way that the suspect was driving, he was basically doing U-turns and flipping around both directions on 64. What appears to have happened is that when he was trying to change directions one time, he ended up running into headfirst a state trooper's unit who was able to stop him there, and they made the arrest.
One of the 4 men eventually caught by the police was identified as Caleb Sheffield, aka Atk Ybeezy. The news crew was in the area doing a story on the manhunt when a man fitting the description of the suspects approached their vehicle. He had a few $100s in his hand and asked them to take him to a nearby gas station. They weren't in their cars at the time, but were just standing near them. They told the man that they were news vehicles and he wasn't allowed to ride in them because he didn't have the proper clearance. They were really just trying to get him to leave because they realized he was probably one of the suspects and may have been armed. At first, the man agreed and started walking away, but then suddenly lunged into one of the cars and took off. A state trooper had been tailing the man and immediately took off after him. They kept whipping up and down Highway 64 as the driver of the stolen vehicle tried to lose the state trooper by pulling U-turns. The chase only lasted about 5 minutes and he eventually lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a state trooper head-on. They confirmed that the driver was a suspect in the manhunt and arrested him. The sheriffs also later announced that they had the 4th suspect in custody as well.
Troopers tell us a 24-year-old man and a juvenile were arrested Saturday afternoon. A 3rd man was arrested late Saturday night after deputies say he stole a car and crashed into a state trooper. The 4th person was arrested this morning.
But if that story wasn't crazy enough, the charges these men are facing are wild. Marcus Brown, the man who stole the vehicle, and Ybeezy are both facing multiple charges, including possession of a weapon of mass destruction.
All of the suspects who were from Florida faced a long list of charges, including possession of a weapon of mass destruction. That can include certain types of guns.
Brown is also charged with fleeing to elude arrest with a motor vehicle and larceny of a motor vehicle for his joyride in the news car. A third suspect, Adrian Laurie, is facing charges of possession of a stolen weapon and possession of a firearm by a felon. The fourth suspect is a juvenile, so the official charges haven't been released to the public. They also announced that the weapons discovered were being processed by the ATF, not just the county sheriff's office. When most people hear the term weapon of mass destruction, they think of something a terrorist might have, like a nuclear bomb or biological weapon. But North Carolina law defines a weapon of mass destruction as anything that could potentially cause mass death, including bombs, grenades, missiles, and automatic weapons, or parts that are designed to convert any weapon to an automatic. The rumors are that they had Glocks with a switch on the back that turns them into automatic weapons. This would allow the guns to be classified as a weapon of mass destruction under North Carolina law. So it wasn't like they were driving around with nukes in the trunk of the car, but when you see the charge, it makes it seem like they were really up to something crazy. The police are cracking down on any rappers and gang members who are in possession of automatic weapons or any device that could turn a gun to an automatic. Glock 9 was just hit with some crazy charges after the feds raided his house and found 13 of these devices in his apartment. In a press conference, the Orange County Sheriff's Office in Orlando explained that automatic weapons are especially dangerous because it increases the likelihood that an innocent bystander would get hit, which happened several times in the war between AFNF and 438. Check out our videos on Glock 9's and HOTBOII's RICO indictment for more information on this case. So police everywhere are cracking down on automatic weapons, at least when it comes to rappers. Unless maybe YB and his boys are rolling around with hand grenades and landmines ready to ambush Foolio and his crew. The whole situation seems pretty crazy. Why were Ybeezy and his boys going 30 miles over the speed limit when they knew they were felons riding around with guns? And did Marcus Brown really think he was gonna get away in a stolen news vehicle with a state trooper right on his tail? It all seems like something out of GTA and not real life. But these days, nothing is too surprising. Plus, the whole weapons of mass destruction thing seems a little crazy. ATK isn't exactly ISIS, and it doesn't seem like they were planning any kind of terrorist attack. But the cops are probably looking for any way that they can hit them with charges that'll stick and result in some serious time. Even if they can force a plea deal and have the charges reduced, it's still gonna be a legal battle. Luckily, no one was hurt, so they're really just fighting gun charges and fleeing from police. But the fact that the charges are so wild means that the authorities are looking to have them locked up. But this wasn't the only time that Ybeezy has made headlines. The rapper previously beat 4 counts of attempted murder back in 2019 after his lawyers were able to prove that he was out of town when the crime took place. On May 26, 2019, police arrived at the 1000 block of Scriven Street in Jacksonville and found broken glass and shell casings around the scene. A vehicle later arrived at the UF Health Jacksonville with several bullet holes in the windshield, and 2 females suffering from gunshot wounds were admitted to the emergency room. According to the driver, they had been parked outside one of the victims' homes on Scriven Street when someone ran up on foot and started firing at them. The driver and the other woman in the front seat were hit, and the 2 in the back were not. The driver told police that she recognized the shooter from music videos and his social media. She said it was a local rapper named Caleb, aka Atk Ybeezy. The other victim also confirmed that the shooter was Ybeezy. The rapper was quickly arrested and charged with 4 counts of attempted murder and 1 count of shooting into an occupied vehicle. He was potentially facing life in prison if convicted.
Police arrested Sheffield after 2 women claimed he shot them in a car on Scriven Street last month.
The war between ATK and KTA was in full effect at that point, and police believe that the shooting had something to do with the beef. But it turns out that their assumptions were wrong, and Ybeezy was actually at a basketball camp on the night of the shooting. Ybeezy must have hired some good lawyers because they were able to uncover a video that proved that the rapper wasn't even in Jacksonville on the night the crime took place, but was at a basketball tournament in Orlando. The video did not show the rapper on camera, but you could see his shoes and hear his voice in the background. This was enough to prove that he was 2.5 hours away from the scene of the crime that night, and it would have been physically impossible for him to have been the shooter. As a result, Ybeezy had all the charges against him dropped and was released from jail just a few weeks after being arrested.
17-year-old Caleb Sheffield is set free 18 days after he was booked into Duval County Jail on 4 counts of attempted murder.
It seems pretty suspicious that both victims told police that it was Ybeezy when he actually had nothing to do with it. Maybe it was a case of mistaken identity and they just thought it was him because he was a famous rapper. Or maybe there's more to the story. Either way, Ybeezy had all the charges against him dropped and was allowed to walk away a free man. But even though ATK is on top of the world thanks to viral music and hits, they've also been going through a lot of controversies lately. Recently, Ace was accused by another rapper of stealing his song, and there have been recent developments in the murder case of ATK's main shooter, K-So. On July 3rd, another Florida rapper, who goes by the name One Boss, took to social media to accuse Ace of jacking his song. He posted a snippet of the Yungeen Ace song Deserve It, featuring YFN Lucci, beside a snippet from his own song of the same name. He tagged Ace and wrote a caption that said, "Damn, all you have to do is ask a for a feature," with a shrugging emoji. Although they're slightly different, the two songs are pretty similar. The beat and title are exactly the same. Ace comes with his own lyrics, but the flow and concept of the song are also very similar. Maybe they were working with the same producer, but either way, it's hard to deny that both songs sound nearly the same. Ace has not yet commented on the song stealing accusations, so at this point, the story is all one-sided. On top of that, there have also been new developments in the case against ATK shooter K-So, who's accused of killing KTA-affiliated rapper Lil Buck. The murder case made major headlines after it was announced that K-So, along with his father Abdul Robinson, were arrested together for Lil Buck's murder.
21-year-old Hakeem Robinson and his father, 49-year-old Abdul Robinson, are both in the Duval County Jail. Hakeem Robinson is charged with second-degree murder, and Abdul is charged with accessory after the fact.
Now, authorities believe that Abdul Robinson Jr., aka Crazy K, may also be a suspect in the shooting. He's currently wanted by federal marshals and is currently on the run. The prosecutors are relying on the testimony of one of the suspects in the murder to make their case. The witness, Dominique Barner, was allegedly with K-So the day Lil Buck was murdered, and after getting arrested, he told police that the rapper was the shooter. But K-So's attorney recently went on social media to update fans with some news regarding the case. He says that eyewitness testimony claimed that the shooter was around 5'7" and 170 pounds, while K-So is 6'2" and over 220 pounds. So clearly, something is off. Around the same time, federal marshals announced that Crazy K was wanted as a suspect in this case, and he matches the description of the shooter much better than his brother. This trial is still going on, and not all the evidence is available to the public, but it does seem like prosecutors don't have as solid of a case against the rapper as they previously thought. So, all in all, the success of Yungeen Ace and the ATK gang has also come with a fair amount of drama. Ybeezy's recent arrest is just the most recent incident in this wild war that's unfolding right before the eyes of the public. Hopefully, Ace's first album did well sales-wise, so he can hook his brother up with another good lawyer. Beating a regular gun charge can be tough, especially when you were also fleeing from police. So, there's no telling how hard it'll be to beat possession of a weapon of mass destruction.